What's crack-a-lackin', everybody? Money Smart Guy Matt Sapaula here, hailing to you from Dallas, Texas. And once again here on the Seven Figure Squad podcast here, episode 5-6. And in the studio today with me is professional Major League Baseball player Torii Hunter, taken 20th overall in the first round of the 1993 MLB draft by the Minnesota Twins. Out of high school, an elite center fielder. He won 9 consecutive Golden Glove Awards, was a 5-time All-Star selection, and won 2 Silver Slugger Awards as the best offensive player at his position. We were just talking earlier before we cut on that he's right now in the contention in the Hall of Fame conversation. Let's go. But in addition to that, we're going to also be talking about business, how he's making his money moves today. Him being a grandfather, was it six grandkids now?
Yeah, my sons, they love sex. It's amazing.
They love sex. Not a bad thing to do. That's just not a bad thing that God created. So that being said, Torii Hunter, welcome to the podcast.
Man, thanks for having me, man. I really inspired. I'm inspired by what you do and what you say. I've heard several of your podcasts, and I actually apply a lot of those things to my life. So,
Praise
I'm
God.
glad to be on here.
I kept hearing your name throughout the last 2-3 weeks. But I first heard of your name because we have a common friend and your financial advisor, Ed Butowski.
That's right.
Who was in that chair about 3 weeks ago at the turn of the year, giving his financial prediction for 2024. He brought your name up again. And then if you can go to my screen, Jordan, and then I go to your cigar lounge in Little Rock, Arkansas a couple weeks ago with your boys out there.
Right.
I don't know, does it pop up, Jordan? Right here. Let me see if I can zoom it up. Does it zoom up? Is my screen's not moving? Okay. But that middle picture, there it is. That middle picture is a little bit of a delay. That middle picture right there, your guys.
Yeah, David Jolly is on the left. He's the one that's the brainchild, and Corey, he's the regulator. You know, he makes sure everything is in order. And we got a good team. We got Andre McFadden over there as well.
Love it.
He's a good friend. We all grew up in Pine Bluff together.
Wow.
You know, since we were kids, 5 years old, and these guys didn't go to prison. they're educated, graduated from college, and so it was easy to do business with those guys when they presented it to me.
So they treated me like royalty out there. So I just hats off to these guys in Little Rock. And this is my third time there, because every time I go to Little Rock, because we're building an office in Little Rock, Arkansas. And so rumors are you're opening up a culture in.
That's
I don't want to stir it up. It's a rumor.
I'm working trying to find the right space.
Okay.
We have a lot of people in Collin County, North Dallas area.
Yes.
I know a lot of dignitaries, a lot of guys that smoke cigars as well. So if I do open, I know I have some members right away.
Right away. I want number one. I want to be a first round locker right there.
You will be. You'll be number one.
Bam.
No doubt about it.
You heard it here on Seven Figure Squad podcast and the culture. North Dallas here, but and then a couple other guys were talking to me about you bring up your name, and next thing you know, I'm looking for another place to do content and to create another area for content. Somebody told me about the Maker's Gym. I checked it about a year ago, and then I went back to it a couple weeks ago, and then guess what? I bumped into everybody. Torii Hunter.
That's right. Maker's Gym, man, it's a pretty cool spot, man. I'm glad you came up there and check it out. A lot of people think when I say Maker's Gym, they think gym like a fitness workout, but it's actually a fitness place for the mind. You know, a lot of creatives go there, and you got the podcast rooms, editing bays, soundstage, conference rooms, meeting rooms. Photographer rooms, and so we currently have over 250 members. And it's growing slowly but steady. And we're still working on systems, working on different things. We have a lot of time to grow. We're still learning ourselves, but the space is magnificent, man. It's awesome. It's a great concept. My brother-in-law, Terrence Price, used to work for Ogilvy in New York, and he was like the main
Ogilvy.
guy. Yeah,
that's the PR firm that connected me and Ed Butowski.
Really?
So funny.
Ogilvy?
Oh God.
Well, he was the guy. He was the lead on the team with rebranding Wonder Woman, and he was the lead on the team that rebranded UPS and NASCAR and all these different things. He had some big major projects with Marvel, and he's like, man, I want to create a space with creatives can own their own content.
Yeah.
You know, you
Nice.
go to this space, you get a membership. It's just like when you go to a gym, you get a membership, and
Yeah.
you can't buy those machines,
Yeah.
right? But you work out with them and you use them. So he did the same thing in the creative world. You have podcast areas, podcast rooms. Some people can't afford these $400 mics,
Sure.
you know? And so if you create a space for them, they'll come and work out their way and work out their creativity. So that's why we call it the Maker's Gym.
That's great. Or they can't afford the $1,200 Black Magic cameras you guys use.
Right,
up there, man. So
right.
it's
We
like-
got red cameras. We got expensive cameras, and so just you get a chance to once you're a member, you get a chance to get hours and credits and get a chance to use some of those some of that equipment that we have and make a great product.
And the best part of it is that there's people there. You got coaches there.
Yeah.
That if you don't know how to use the equipment, or you don't know how to edit, you don't want to do it because you just want to be a creator, not the editor.
Right.
You got people there that can help you do that too as well.
It's called the maker coaches. They a lot of guys that come to our space and they're members and they're very professional. We allow them to have a space where you can coach and also create more income for them as well.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the creatives, people are all creatives. We all are creatives, right? Some people tap into it and some people don't. You know, and if you can inspire somebody or show them that they do have an eye to take pictures. They're taking pictures with their phone, but they're afraid to go further to make a business out of it. You know, you can inspire someone to go out there and take photos and learn how to, use the red cameras and all that different things like that. I mean, Maker's Gym is a place where you can really go out and use that God-given ability, because we're all creators. God created. So he made us in his image, meaning like his characters, his not so much like look like him, but some of his characters that he has, and one of those is creativity. Yeah. And so we all have it in us. We just have to tap into it.
That's right. And so, I was you saw that interview I did with Coach Prime. We're going to talk about Coach Prime in a second. And, Coach Prime was saying in an interview, it's like, we all got talent. It's just we don't have the platform to bring it out.
Right.
Or to hone it, to develop it.
Right.
And so, now back to Coach Prime. So I was going back and forth between Chicago and Dallas, because our corporate home office was right here in Addison. And so when I'd travel at least once a month here to Dallas to do some work here at a corporate home office and go back to Chicago, I'd see the differences between Chicago and Dallas. And one of my inspirations in Dallas was Deion Sanders.
Right.
And I'd watch his reality show when he was still married to Pilar, and they were raising their boys, and their boys like, I don't want to take a shower in my bathroom. I want to take a shower in Daddy's shower.
Because his shower was unbelievable. His closet was unbelievable.
Crazy.
I was at that house all the time.
So talk to us, because I go back to his house as an area of inspiration to me. And back then there was nothing around Prosper. And I'm just talking about maybe 6-7 years ago. Now it's all built out. So talk to us about your relationship with Coach Prime.
Man, I played baseball against him. I had a chance to watch him play on the baseball field. Football field, not so much. But I always had a liking to Deion, because who couldn't?
Sure.
Who wouldn't like Deion as an athlete, the athlete that he is? But, I moved here, and right away I connected with Deion. And Deion was kind of like my mentor, my big brother. He's been there, done that. He was like my mentor, the one that's been there, done that already. And he was telling me what not to do. Let me tell you what I did. Don't you do it, right? And so
don't you do it?
Right,
It's in his voice.
So I bought a property in Vaquero. And Vaquero is a really nice place over in Westlake. And so I bought a lot in there. And so that was in February. I went to spring training end of February, and my wife was like, I don't want to go there. They wouldn't let her in the gate, something like that. And she's just like, nope, I don't want to stay there, right? So I said, all right, when I get back, we'll sell the property. So while I was playing, it was 8 months, and I got back from the season. I bought the lot for, say, $600,000, right? And I end up selling that lot in 8 months in 1.2. And I'm like, and this was 2003. Wow. So I'm like, this is what they do? this is real estate? I'm like, man, so I started doing a deep dive. I'll be the one reading on the plane and all these different things, learning about real estate, learning about, construction and all these different things, and something that I really wanted to do. Yeah. It was very lucrative. But when I sold the property, I was meeting Deion for breakfast all the time at this place called La Peep Grill. and we'll eat breakfast and we'll talk life. We'll talk about our marriage. We'll talk about anything. And he ended up telling me, you need to come to Prosper. So I went out to Prosper, went to his house. We had a guy named Rex Glendending in Prosper. He's up there in Salina. He drove us around. He's a big landowner out there, and he drove us around.
It's wide open there.
It was wide open at the time, and my wife was with me, and she's like, "You're not leaving me in this country town." Like, think about some brothers up there, and Dion was telling me to come up there. Dion, everybody know you, but they don't know me. And Dion got me to Prosper. Ended up getting a lot of land, 20 acres up there.
Moly.
Yeah, and it was cheap. And now the boom, after the pandemic, it's drove those prices up.
Yeah.
And so I'm really in love with real estate.
Yeah.
And
that's the thing. People wonder why money, when money was infused into our economy during 80% of all the money printed in the history of America has been printed in the last 3-4 years.
Yeah.
And people wonder why the rich got kept rich. Well, it's because the rich were buying assets.
Yeah.
You bought an asset.
Yeah.
And the government did what it did, and it increased the value of the assets, and you were smart enough to do it.
Yeah.
People out there, instead of being financially, they're spending money. And
I'll spend some money too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'll spend some money too. I had my brothers, from Pine Bluff, Arkansas. They were there, and I'm like, I got to get them out of the hood, So I brought them to Frisco, and Frisco at the time only had like 3,000 people, 5,000 people, and so I bought them properties there. And it was, 160 grand, 150 grand a piece.
In Frisco?
Back then, in 2002.
With the condos?
Yeah, it was little townhomes, right? It's townhomes
Nice.
with a backyard. And they were single. These guys were single, no kids. They still party. I'm like, hey, you can't have too much. So I got them that. And sometimes I wouldn't give them anything. And they would be like, man, why, I need some money. You know how family is with money, man.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, your money's in the house. I'm trying to protect you. Your money's in the house. So as they got older, my older brother ended up selling his home for triple the price, double the price.
Yeah.
And he's like, wow, I didn't know. Well, the money's hid in the home. The appreciation on that home just grew, and you didn't even know it. You just want to see cash in hand, but at the same time, I was hiding the cash so you don't spend it.
Yeah.
And so to know when they look at their taxes is going up and they see what their house was worth, they're like, wow, I get it now.
Yeah.
But for 10 years, I was going through it, and it's not really their fault. It's my fault.
By the way, Darren Woodson, which is another buddy of yours, played Cowboy. He's Cowboys all-time tackling leader. He's sitting in that chair, and I said, what's the number one problem why professional athletes go broke? Without a hesitation, he says family.
It's all family. All our family, man. It's like, but for us, we love our family.
Sure.
And they can do anything. They can say anything to us. They can be nasty to us, but we always go back to our family. It's like an abusive situation, and we go back to it, right? And because I want my family. I love my family. My brothers, my dad when I grew up, my dad was a drug addict, right? And so my 3 brothers that was in the house with me, they all suffered the same way I did. And reason why I was inspired to go play the game of baseball is because, man, I got to save my family.
Where were you in the mix with your brothers?
I'm second.
Okay,
I'm
second
second. My older brother, Taru, Tishku, and Tram. It's like that. And so they were all in the struggle. Our lights were cut off. One day the TV might be gone because he pawned it for whatever. Food not in there. Hot water is off. And we're doing our homework with candles. So my brothers grew up with me in this situation. So I felt like it was a responsibility of mine to do it. They used me as a crutch. And
also in high school, didn't you have a crack pipe fall out your pocket?
Yep. How did you know that? You were doing research. I was in the ninth grade. And I was looking for my Chicago Bulls starter jacket at the time.
Man,
Chicago Bulls,
of course,
they were
valuable.
good. And you had a starter. You had a starter. It was red and white and had that Bulls emblem on the back. Man, nothing like that. So I had that starter jacket, and my dad took it. And I'm like, man, where's my starter jacket? I thought someone stole it or whatever. And then 2 days later, I saw my dad laying on the couch before I went to school. And I looked and I saw my starter jacket on the back of a chair. I'm like, this dude took my starter jacket.
Oh my God.
Right? So I took the jacket mad, sprayed it down because it smelled like cigarette smoke or whatever, and wore it to school.
Menthol Newports.
Cool Filter Kings. That's right. So I went to school that morning, and teacher asked a question, and I raised my hand. When I raised my hand, it went bing, ding, 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 like this.
Gosh.
And I'm like, oh my God, right? I grabbed it, and I was like, I raised my hand. I said, can I use the restroom? I got to use it really bad. So I put it back in my pocket, and I'm going out, and he was like, yeah, go ahead. It was Coach Craig. It was my coach, my football coach. And I went in there, and I'm like panicking. So I went in the toilet, raised the back of the toilet up, and put the crack pipe in the toilet. And I knew what it was, and I wiped my fingerprints off with toilet tissue and put it in the back of the toilet and put the thing on top of the toilet. And I'm like scared, like I could have lost my school year, could have been in suspension, and different things like that. And I didn't know what to do.
Wow.
So that's when I really knew my dad was on drugs, you know.
Wow.
So it was a rough one. So I felt like I had to save everybody and become a father figure. And I think I hurt a lot of my family more than I helped, because sometimes when you're doing a lot of things for your family and you out there, but it inspired me to play the game hard, run into walls, 11 concussions, you know, played every day. I wouldn't come out of that lineup because I had things to do. It inspired me to do great things and keep going, play 23 professional seasons.
Right.
But at the same time, you keep helping, and they keep abusing you. It's an abusive situation.
Interesting. Why did you choose baseball? You said you played football. Why did you choose baseball or football? Were you just better at it, or you just naturally? Seems like you're an all-around athlete.
I had a homeless guy. We had a homeless guy. His name was Cool Leroy, and he was from Pine Bluff, Arkansas. And you know, baseball, I played it because it was that time of the year. But baseball had given me life experiences. At 13, I was able to fly to Mexico, New Mexico, Boise, Idaho, California, and all these places and play in big tournaments because we won a tournament in Arkansas. Then I was able to move on and go to different levels. But it gave me life experiences of, you know, staying with a host family that was filthy rich. They had their own plane, and I jumped in the plane, and we flew to Boise, Idaho, in the mountains and landed. And I'm like, wow, a bear. You know, that would never happen in the hood. You know,
we got a different bear.
The bear I know will beat you up. You know, and you'll survive, but he might get you. And so I flew there, and you see all these, you get these life experiences, and they're all sitting at the table, and they're talking about what they want to do in their life. You know, they prayed before they ate breakfast. They made you wash up before. We didn't do that. We just grab our food, sit down on the floor, watch TV or anything like that. We just never had a conversation. But every morning with my host family, I sat down and had a conversation. So just baseball gave me these life experiences, and I'm like, low key and subconsciously, I fell in love with baseball. But consciously, all my friends were playing football. So all my friends in the hood played football. They didn't really play the game of baseball. And so I just kind of gravitated towards football because of my friends and people who look like me. And so in my junior year, my senior year, a scout came to me and said, hey, a guy named Cool Leroy said, hey, the homeless guy, he said, hey, man, baseball, you play forever. Football, you can get hit and be over with. But you can get hurt in baseball as well. But longevity I saw was in baseball, and you can make long money, and it's guaranteed. So I kind of chose that route, signed with the Razorbacks to go to college to play. My wife is at the school. That's why I signed with the school. You know, the girl I like. You know, it wasn't too many girls I liked, but I really liked this woman, which now is my wife for 27 years.
Katrina.
So, Katrina. Hurricane Katrina when she's pissed.
My mother-in-law is named Katrina.
Oh, yeah? Is she a hurricane?
She is. She is. It's funny, all our family, there were her daughter, my sister-in-law, she was born on D-Day. You know, so all of us are, and then of course in Marines. So it's like everybody has a catastrophe on their birthday or some form of you know bad omen.
Right.
It's kind of weird, but we're all multicultural. You know, we have a great combination of because my wife is half white, half black, and so her mom's like blonde hair, blue eyed. And then her dad, the family calls him the angry black man. It's like he's pissed off.
Angry. Well, I mean, he grew up in a different time. He's pissed.
He's pissed.
We got a lot of angry black men in the hood.
And so then my wife, she's gorgeous. Everybody thinks she's Puerto Rican.
Oh, Puerto Rican.
Speaking of which, there's a lot of black athletes in the game of baseball, but they're now becoming more Latino.
Yeah.
The black
Black Latinos.
Black Latino.
Yeah, they're black. They still black.
Sure, but still black.
Yeah.
So I remember there was an interview a while ago, and people was like, "Hey man, baseball ain't cool." I said, "What do you mean baseball ain't cool? I play baseball. It's cool."
Right.
And so can you talk to us about the evolution of the game that you've seen it play of less Black American playing baseball, but more Black Latino playing baseball?
Right. Well, I mean, in Dominica, Colombia, and Venezuela, they play the game of baseball, and they play hard, and they play with a passion, they play with a fight, and but they have academies all in Venezuela and Dominica. And
feeding
it's like a feeding tube. It's just a lot of people playing, and then you just say, oh man, all these guys are playing. Let's get this person, that person, that person. That guy throws 100, And I remember telling a story with the Twins. We had a guy with the Twins who was playing a video game in Dominica, in Venezuela. And his friend was like, get up, we're going to the academy. We're going to go and work out. He was like, no, he's never played the game. He's 16 years old. And the kid ended up convincing him to get off that video game and come play. He went on the mound. The guy was like, the scout was like, hey, what position do you play? He's like, I don't know. Right? And so they say, all right, just get on the mound and throw the ball. Got on the mound and threw the ball, 96. And the guy,
I saw that rest on the couch.
It's all the fast twitch X and O's, on the PlayStation. So, man, the guy was throwing 96, and now he's in the big leagues with the Dodgers, and he's throwing 100.
Wow.
So just little stories like that comes from Dominica and Venezuela because they have those academies. We don't have a lot of academies here. It's very expensive to have academies here. Yeah. And playing the game of baseball, travel baseball, is very expensive.
Yeah.
A lot of African Americans, unfortunately, is in poverty-stricken areas, right? And for them to get on a travel team, they have to get sponsored or they have to be really good. And it's hard for them to move and grow in the game of baseball and rec ball. You got to be in travel baseball.
Got it.
And so I think we're losing them because of the money. It's too expensive. Yeah. And when I was coming up, we played the game, and the scouts came to rec leagues. They came to see you, watch you play in high school. Now they come watch you in showcases. They rarely come out you in high school. They come to the showcases. Yeah.
And you need money to get to those
perfect game and all that different things. But it costs money to fly to Florida, costs money to fly to California or Dallas. It costs a lot of money. And I think that's where inner city kids get left out. Not just African Americans, but it can be whites, it can be Latino, it can be Asian. It could be, if you're in a poverty-stricken area or inner city, we're getting lost because of how expensive the game is now.
Wow, interesting. Okay.
The night before that, my family got off the elevator. My brother, I got gangster brothers.
Okay. Pine Bluff in the house.
and all my friends, a lot of my friends are there too, my uncles. And so it's like 12 of us. We walk off the elevator, and Barry Bonds was going back to the elevator. So we're passing him and his crew. It was an MTV crew and his wife and different things like that. And my older brother, Torii, was like, Barry, what's up? It's like that. And he went... He might have been in a bad day or whatever it may be, but he went, psh, and I'm like, oh man, and I'm like, my brother's like, man, they going off. I'm like, man, forget that. They wanted to fight him now. They from the hood. That's like, that's disrespectful.
You better than me.
It's very disrespectful. And so, but his wife at the time came over and said, hey man, he just had a long day. This is not who he is or whatever. Yeah. And it kind of calmed him down. Yeah. And then A-Rod saw it and ended up buying my brother some drinks and hung out or whatever.
Good call.
Yeah, and so I've been knowing A-Rod since I was 16 years old. Oh, wow. We both played on the same team at 16 years old in Boise, Idaho. And so he kind of understood what my family was all about, and so he saved them in that situation. So the next day, I go, it's the game. It's time to play the game. And I'm in center field, and they said, now batting Barry Bonds. I'm like, don't hit it to me. Don't. I was 25 years old, and I'm like, don't hit it to me. Don't hit it to me. Derek Lowe throws the pitch, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going for this thing, right? I took off running, and I jumped up. I caught the ball. Ichiro was next to me. He said, holy. And I was like, man, I didn't know you spoke English, man. And I was like, and you can see me running and looking back at him like, nice, right? And so when I was running away, going back into the dugout, I see Barry Bonds waiting. So I'm like, oh man, here you go. Yeah. So I went high.
He was at what, second base?
He was at right around shortstop area.
Okay.
So I was running back in, and he high-fived me, and I went high, and then he went low. But when he went low, I was like, you ain't picking me up, right? And he picked me up like this. I'm like, And man, I was like, this dude is super strong. I'm running off laughing, but inside my head, I'm like, he is strong. And so just, it's just that's when I think the world got a chance to see me play. Me playing in Minnesota wasn't a big TV market. You know, it's not a big market for people to see me play. They wouldn't see me in the big games.
Sure.
So I was I had a stage at 25 years old to show people what I was doing in Minnesota, and they were like, wow. And I think that's when I kind of came on the scene.
Yeah, because you went to Minnesota, and then you went to Anaheim, LA Angels, then Detroit, and then back to
the Twins at 40. 40 years old. I came with the Minnesota Twins at 17 in 1993. Left at 2008 in 2008, 11 years. And then I left for 5 years, go to the Angels, went to Detroit for 2, and then I came back at 40.
Yeah.
So I hit my first home run against Detroit. Yeah. Then I went to Detroit and played. I hit my 300th home run against the Twins with Detroit.
Wow.
And then, so I went back and, I had some numbers. I was top 10 in a lot of numbers. And I'm like, all right, nothing like going back and kind of solidifying a lot of things for a legacy, you know? And so I went back and played the game. I was 40 years old, and I got a lot of teasing from all those young guys. And there's guys in there, Byron Buxton at the time, and, Brian Dozier, they're the same age as my son. I'm like, I walk in the kitchen, they're eating and they laughing or whatever, and I walk in there, they're like, Tori's coming. I'm like, man, I already did everything y'all talking about. I was the old guy. Now that's when I realized, also when I went home after games, I had some stairs to go to my bedroom. My butt cheek locked up. I'm like, I've never had a butt cheek lock up. And that's when I realized it's time to go home.
For those of you watching this live, have you ever had a butt cheek lock up on you? Let me know. Put it in the comment section below. Talk about you have this thing that game. Life is baseball. Life is baseball. Baseball is life. Yeah. And talk to us about you in the minors, and you sleeping in the car for a couple of days with the Geo. Was it
Geospectrum?
Geospectrum. It was a stick shift, and you're floating money. Because you win for a check, from the team. So talk to us about that moment.
Whew, boy, that was one of my my moments where I almost gave it up. Yeah. Right, in 1997. I was drafted in 93. I'm still only 21 years old, but as a youngster, you want it fast, and you're thinking like, oh man, they don't like me anymore. I've been 4 years, but I was 17 when I was drafted. Yeah. So 21, 22 is still young. 23 is still young. Yeah. And now in 1997, 21 years old, we come out of spring training. We don't get paid in spring training. So that first month, you got to pay rent. Yeah. Or you got to pay something. I don't have any funds at the time. And
because people were staying with friends or whatever the case may be. Right?
You try to stay with friends, but it was me and this other guy. We're African American. He was African American. His name Armand Brown. He's a scout now with Oakland A's. And so we both didn't have any money. He's from Houston. I'm from Arkansas. We were like, our families are jacked up. And so we decided to get a rental car that was $9.99 a day. Right, and save some money. We knew we were going on the road in the next four days, so we slept in the car at night, pretend like we were leaving. Right, the clubhouse guy that was there, the clubhouse manager, knew that we were sleeping in the car, so he'll leave it open sometime for us to go wash our clothes and do a lot of different things early in the morning, and then we can leave. We had to go to the mall before the coach got there, so he wouldn't know that we were sleeping in the parking lot of the stadium. So we slept in that parking lot of the stadium, knowing that we're going on the road. All we got to do is make it those 4 days because we're about to go on the road, and they got to provide the hotel. Yeah. So we survived those 4 days, man, sleeping in that car. We were in the mall all the time. I was tired of Kung Pao chicken.
Kung Pao chicken. Half chicken, half rice, half noodle.
Mystery meat. I didn't know where that meat was coming from, but it was good. Yeah. And but we survived. It was a great price, and just those experiences like that, you know, that you can get through. It pushed me knowing that I can get through. I'm from the hood already. My lights were cut off. Yeah. You know, I cut yards for money. I had a paper route, which they don't have paper routes anymore. Exactly. But that job is gone. But I had that job. I even picked cotton on a Saturday just to buy some Jordans. You know, so I've done those things in Pine Bluff, Arkansas, and so I've been through some things. But sleeping in a car made me realize, like, I had a bed. No matter if my lights were cut off or not, I had some food, you know. So it was a humbling situation for me, and it allowed me to push through another barrier, you know. And I got through some things, and I was like, it made me stronger along the way. But I had some good people, like my wife Katrina, who says, "Don't quit. Wait till the end of the season. You feel the same way, then." You hang it up. You still have your scholarship at Arkansas. You can't play the game, but they bought my scholarship from the Minnesota Twins, bought it from the Razorbacks, so I can go back to school, get my education. And then my brother said if I come home, he's gonna kick my butt every day. I didn't want that.
So here's an interesting thing too about life as a business, because I'm in sales. We teach guys in the insurance industry that, you know, you got to go through the numbers. So if we can look at this stat here real quick, your stats. Can we look at my screen? So based on your stats here, your batting average was 277.
277.
Okay.
Above average.
Okay. Now here's the thing though. Out of 10 at bats, you miss.
Yeah, I mean
7.3 times.
Yeah.
And you're considered a potential Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that? Because people don't understand that. You're like, you go up to bat 10 times, you're missing. You only make contact 2.7 times, 2.8 times, and you're considered potential Hall of Famer.
I mean, think about it. All Hall of Famers, they fail 7 out of 10 times. You're a 300 hitter. You accept failure in baseball, right? And I say baseball is life, life is baseball. Failure doesn't matter to me.
Yeah,
it's how I get through it, how I process it, and the adjustments that I make along the way. I faced Roger Clemens, and Roger Clemens strikes me out. Well, I got 2 more innings, maybe 30 minutes to sit down and figure out what he did to me, right? If I don't figure out what he did to me, the same thing is going to happen to me again.
Yeah.
So baseball, 7 out of 10 times, you're a failure. But one thing about it, we make adjustments, and we're not afraid to fail. So I take baseball into life, and when I invest in a business deal, it doesn't work, opposed to me lying to the listeners or the viewers and saying, all my businesses are doing great. Right? No, I'm telling you, I got businesses that are not doing good at all. Right?
You being honest with it,
But I sit down and I say, all right, it's got to be different. I have to find a different way, and we have to be creative and finding different ways of getting streams of income and be creative and sparking the community come to be consumers of ours. And that's what baseball has done for me. I accept failure more because without failure, there's no success. Success and failure are cousins. You got to have one before you get the other. If you're afraid to fail, you're dying, you're killing yourself. There's a lot of people in the grave right now. Miles Monroe said all the time, there's a lot of money in the grave. The richest place in the world is a graveyard because the people have fear of failure, false evidence appearing real. You know, if you have a fear of failure, you won't have no success. You got to get up. A lot of people are depressed because they're not moving. They have no purpose. And so you have to find that failure, which baseball taught me, to, you know, apply that to my real life. And I'm not afraid to fail. I make adjustments.
There's a story of you also looking through the bat or something, because a hard helmet, there's a hole in the top of it, right?
Right.
And so what you would do is you would study the pitcher. Right? And he'd kind of signal his pitches. So
you've been doing some research. Oh my God. Man, this guy can really do some research, guys.
I want to honor your time here, bro.
Oh my God, that's impressive. But I thought that's probably way back in the archives. But Paul Molitor, man, taught me that. Paul Molitor in 2001, he was my teammate, then he became my coach, and then he became my manager at 40. So I had him as a teammate, a coach, and a manager. But when he was a coach in 2001, we were playing the Cleveland Indians, and Dave Burba, he was a pitcher. He's on the mound with the Cleveland Indians. And Molly, I had a day off, and Molly said, instead of just sitting down watching the game, I want you to learn something. So get your helmet, turn it around, look through the hole on the top of the helmet, and only focus on Dave Burba, right? And that I'll tell you, like, hyper focus, and it taught me a lot of different things. So I started doing that for 3 innings, and then a third inning, I'm like, Molly, I got it, right? Dave Burba would come set, right, and he'll go, it say Indians right here. At the time, it was the Indians. Now it's the Guardians, but it said Indians here, and it'll go lower than the Indians, and it will be off speed. Then anytime he stayed even or higher than the Indians, it was that failed 1,000 times, figured out ways. Now he's trying to help me skip a process and figure out something. And so when I figured that out, my career took off, and people was like, Torii's sitting on slider. Then the other team would say that, and then they throw me a 99-mile-an-hour fastball, and I turn on that too. And they're like, I thought he was a slider guy. Nope. Whatever that pitcher's doing, that's what I'm looking for.
Wow.
And I would
and
tell
you studied the tape.
I studied video all night.
Yeah.
I kissed my wife goodnight, and I had this iPad, and I would study video. And some people you just can't get, right? Yeah. But I say about 80% at the time, they had something they tipped. And all I needed was one pitch. If you have 4 pitches or 3 pitches, if I eliminate one, I'm good.
So why would they tip it at there? I thought the catcher is signaling whatever pitch.
No, well, the catcher's he's signaling the pitch, but I can't see that. If you look back, that's an unwritten rule. You can get beat up, or you're going to get hit in the neck, and it's going to have a tattoo emblem of Major League Baseball swing like this.
Because you're like this.
Right.
This is coming in.
Right. So if they see you doing that, you're in trouble. So you have to look forward. And if you tip your pitches, that's not on me. That's on you, right? You have pitchers that, like, stuck their tongue out when they threw a fastball, or they like this when they threw it off speed. So I learned all these things in baseball. So guess what I do in business? I watch telltale signs. I watch different things. I'm very analytical as well, because baseball has analytics and sabermetrics. So I'm watching, people's demeanors, how much they move, and how can they accept failure, different things like that. And that's why I call baseball is life. Life is baseball. It's just too many lessons, period. Focus on your enemy, which is your pitcher. But don't forget about yourself, because you're your own worst enemy. And the plate, when the guy's throwing 100 and he throws that 100-mile, and I take it, and you go, boom. You hear the noise, like, phew. You're like, oh, God. This dude throwing hard. So guess what? All the fear, doubt, worry, everything jumps into you. You're like, am I really a baseball player? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You're like, am I really? And next thing you know, you strike out. Strike 1, strike 2, strike 3, because you created a whole bunch of fear and a whole bunch of negative thoughts before you got in the box and after that first pitch. Yeah. And you have to make that adjustment and say, you know what? I'm ready.
Wow.
It might take one at bat where you sacrifice that first at bat because you're trying to figure out who they are, what they are. Yeah. But you got to stay within yourself. Yeah. Understand your weaknesses and your strengths. Yeah. You got to psych yourself out to do things, and that's the same thing as entrepreneurs and business owners. You got to psych yourself out, man.
Interesting. My wife, she's the one. Between my wife and I, she's the hotter, smarter, more athletic one between the two of us, because she went to Pittsburgh to play softball.
Oh, she know the game.
Oh, yeah, she knows the game. Yeah,
I can talk to her all day about baseball.
So the way I would make up to her when we got a fight, we go to the batting cages. She's okay, babe, fine. So
you watched. You watched.
So exactly, I watched, and I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna let the softball girl kind of out hit me, because I'm competitive too. So I'm at the they're throwing me at 60. I'll go 60 miles, 70 miles. I've never played baseball, so, and then I'm just taking a step back. I'm like, this is only 60 miles an hour compared to what these guys play, right? But I just noticed myself learning it, and I just kind of had to feel the pitch go by. Okay, I'm gonna get in. We go 60, and bam, I'm clocking it. I'm like, my wife's like, babe, you can play baseball. Like, I should have.
You look like you're a pretty talented athlete. You're a specimen, man, and I can tell you that now. But man, if you should do that. You saw signs of you know your wife is a softball player, and you're like, all right, we got an argument. Let me take her to the cage. It's relieving for her, you know. And that's so watching tendencies is the same thing as you got to do that with your wife as well.
That's right.
I watch my wife, watch everything that she does.
Now, we're having a funny conversation right before we started recording. I want to go through this because we weren't always squared away, married, committed. So I went through my clubbing days, professional athlete, you know, kind of had, you know, you were the man, a bunch of other guys got paid too as well. Why do most young men end up womanizing, end up going to the club, spending money on crap? You know, what's your opinion on that? Because it's interesting that a lot of us have to go through that phase, and what's worse about it, they end up having kids, child support, and they seem like they ruin their life from a financial standpoint, not from the kids, but from the financial standpoint. Can you talk to that a little bit?
Man, I'm a billboard of that. You know, man, I had infidelity. You know, in my marriage early on. Shoot, I had kids out of wedlock. You know. And it's not about the kids out of wedlock. It's what comes after.
Sure,
you know, baby mama drama, the kids getting one aspect of life and different than your aspect of life, and always going to listen to the mom's aspect of life, which is not what the man's supposed to listen to. He's supposed to listen to your father, right? And get this aspect as well. Mama nourishes you. Mama loves you. Mama's going to give you everything that you need as far as that, but I want to prepare you for the life.
That's right.
What's coming out here in the world, and so you getting a two different mindsets, and he's battling with you.
Yeah.
You know, you're like, man. Yeah. So I got that aspect of it, and I think that a lot of young athletes who go through those things, and not just athletes, I'm talking about people. Sure. Period. Young kids. Period. You know, especially in the African American community, dads give you identity. Even for a young girl, a dad will give you an identity. If you got the dad in the household, he's the right dad. He's a healed dad. Wisdom is healed pain. It's not pain itself that you went through this pain, you went through this, so you got wisdom in it. No, it's only wisdom if you don't cry about it no more.
Wow.
Wisdom is healed pain.
Yeah.
And I heard that from Darius Daniels.
Wow.
And so
I write that down, baby.
Wisdom is healed pain. So if your dad is not in the household, right, and you grow up by yourself without that identity, you try to create an identity, especially African Americans. You black, you can't go in that neighborhood. You black, you can't do what they do. You black, don't go in that store that they're going to think you're stealing. Yeah. You black. And you keep hearing this at 7, 8, 9, 10 years old.
Black people don't have good credit.
Yeah, black people don't have good credit. You know what we don't do. There's a lot of things that we don't do that actually don't make sense that we should be talking about, right? Yeah. And next thing you know, you have no identity. As an African American, we wear chains and we get the nicest car and we get the biggest house and we do all these different things to show people, I'm somebody now.
Yeah.
I'm somebody. I'm here. I made it. Look at me, right? And we're actually crying out. That's that kid crying out, like, help me. Wow. Darius Daniels also said there's a thing called invisible prison. It's that 8-year-old you that's in a prison with no bars. And whenever something happens, or you want to feel like I want to get validated, or you want to feel like I want to get appreciated, which we all want to be appreciated. Sure. But if you got issues and childhood issues, that little kid comes out of that prison because it has no bars. Yeah. And it comes out, even at a 40, 50, 60-year-old man, you still have a little 8-year-old that's in a visible prison, and you still acting out. Someone says something to you, you feel disrespected and different things like that. So, and you act out with aggression. That's childhood issues, right? And so I think a lot of African-American males that make it to the NFL or MLB or acting or whatever, we got an identity issue. Not just in our household, but also in America as well. So we figure out who we are and understand who we are and whose we are, which is we're God's children. That's right. If we figure out who we are and have that identity, you won't have to wear the jury. You won't have to drive the Rolls Royce. You won't have to do all that unless you want to.
Sure.
You know, if you like that stuff, you do it. Don't do it because of an issue of your childhood. Don't do it because you have no identity and you're trying to create one.
Yeah. You know, there's a lot of talk lately about the lack of patriotism in America, the lack of the victim language, the anger issues, the bitterness that a lot of people in different communities have towards America. I mean, but at the same time too, America's allowed me to live my dreams.
Yeah.
I think this allowed you to live your dreams too as well. So, this being an election year, what's your take on where you think America is right now, what America needs?
Well, I don't know, because if I knew what was going on, I promise you I'd run for president.
Because the number one issue for me is economic policy.
Yeah.
If a man can economically be empowered to provide and protect for the people he doesn't care about, you really diminish a society, and you diminish a man, you diminish a father.
Yeah, and that's the art of war as well. There's an art of spiritual war and also war in the world. Yeah. If you soften the man or you depress the man or you oppress the man and bring him back down, right? Then this enemies always wait in time. They start a process and said, sit back and wait. One person dies who started it, already told the person that's coming up, hey, this is what we're doing. I'm dying. Keep it going. And when you see all the men are soft, and you see all the men are not doing what they're supposed to do, they're not leading their homes, they're not leading in any situation, they no longer want to lead and be strong, then you attack. Satan would do it, and other countries would do it. So I think we're to a point where a lot of our men, we still got some there. We still got some good leaders there and good men there, good married men, good businessmen, good all that. But we're actually getting less and less. Just listening to conversations are getting less. And when men get to a point where they're oppressed and they can't make the money, they can't provide for their families, they can't do all these different things, man, suicide rates go up, all these things
Crime
happen.
rates go up.
You need income, right? But if you got emotional issues, I always say financial literacy, right? We think mathematics.
Talk to us.
Right? Yeah. You think mathematics, you think all of these different things. And you got people, doctors and attorneys and smart people that go broke, right? Why they go broke is because emotions. You spend because of your emotions. No matter what. What I was just saying about validating yourself and having an identity and all these different things. But if you got childhood issues, all your emotions that's going, it's going to allow you to spend your loot, right? Yeah, I have emotions for my wife. And my emotions for my wife, I spend money on my wife. I got emotions for my brothers, right? My family I told you about earlier. So I allowed different things to happen to me that shouldn't have happened to me. I should have had boundaries and not let that happen to say to me, right? And I would spend money because of my emotions. During Christmas, Thanksgiving to Christmas, they all coincide, they go together. So after Thanksgiving, your mind is focused on Christmas and traveling and having a good time, Christmas parties, be with the family and do all these different things, traveling and doing this. And then right at January 1st, you forget you got bills to pay because you blacked out on your emotions. And then you spend all this money. You knew you had bills. The first 10 days of January, I had 100,000 plus worth of calls of people needing help. And I got this thing since 2002 called January No. So no matter who you are and you come to me, I'm saying January No because I understand what money's all about. It's about your emotions. Check your emotions, you check the money. So in January, if you call me and you need money, you're about to get evicted, wait till February, but you're in a long line.
Snap. All right, so let's wrap up the rest of this. You slammed it, baby. Let's talk about some of your power moves in business. So were you always entrepreneur? Were you entrepreneur while you were playing the game, or were you done playing the game and then you decided to become an entrepreneur?
Well, you've had a guy named Ed Butowski on this platform, and Ed Butowski is my mentor in financing, and he taught me about rate of return, Sharpe ratio, correlation, all these different terms.
Chapwood
capital, and it was like Japanese to me, right? And when he first started, he made me come 3 hours a week during the off season, so I had 3 months of Ed Butowski, for 3 years. And so I had to go three hours, and he had a whiteboard, and he just wrote all these different things, and I'll take notes, and I go study for myself, study to show that I self-approve, and I go study for myself and try to get the understanding of these things. And for 3 to 4 years, he was teaching me about all these things, about S&P 500, the NASDAQ, and all these different things. And he the one kind of sparked me on investing in companies, not brick and mortars, but they are brick and mortars, but it was on stock market. And so he kind of inspired me to start doing all those things and explain to me what they mean. And so I thank him for sparking that in me. And then I got to a point where I started investing in real estate. I told you the story about the real estate. And when I saw that, so I started investing in real estate while I was playing. I started investing while I was playing, thinking about my future.
Nice.
Right? Thinking about my family's future, think about legacy, thinking about when I die in 200 years after me, right? What am I going to do? Who's going to break that chain? And when that song said, break every chain, you got to be the one to start breaking that chain. It starts now to think about your future. So, and that's what I was doing while I was playing. I already had in my heart, I told my mom at 13, Mom, I want to start businesses so I can create jobs. You know, and she was like, no, you go to school, get your education, and work for somebody. You know, that was the mindset back then. And now it's about entrepreneurship, investing in business, and owning your own businesses. And so I had this in my heart. And God said, I'm going to use you. You're going to play baseball, but you're going to get indoors to help you move along the way.
Speak it. Let's go. Yeah.
So baseball was just part of my process. It wasn't the process. It was part of my process. And so I learned so many things. I met so many people. They made me read these books. They brought me in different business deals, and I learned different deals. And so I was doing business investing while I was playing. I was trying to teach a lot of players. And they'd be like, man, I don't know. I just focus on baseball. I'm like, you better focus on your money. Why you paying your agent fees to pay all your bills? Your mama can do that. Pay your mama. Pay your aunt.
Employ them.
Employ them.
Have them earn their salary. Have them earn the money that you give them.
Right. So, yeah, I did a lot of business investing while I was playing, and a lot of studying on those long flights. So I think I should encourage a lot of players that play NFL, NBA, or whatever. Be a business investor. You're going to make $200 million. I made over $150 million in the game of baseball. And I thank God I was married with kids, because if I was single, I'd be like,
yo, call me Poppy.
I would have been flossing like a mother. But thank God I got married at 21. And
this is your guy, though, Big Poppy?
Yeah, Big Poppy was my roommate. Big Poppy was my teammate for a long time. And I got some hella stories, and they were rated R. But Big Poppy, David Ortiz, man, was a great friend of mine, man. We do business together. We have a group called Dugout Ventures. We got Pujols, myself, Barry Larkin, a lot of other players, and we invest in different things as well. We invest in something called Performance Kitchen, and it's pretty cool, man. And I think
so the players, that you guys pool your money together like a fund.
Yeah. We created a fund.
I love it.
It's been years now, and it's a lot of fun to invest with people that got like minds. You know, not the ones that just say, I don't want to know nothing about it. I'm just gonna give you my money, and then their financial advisor like, where's the money? No, it's invested. It takes time. It's a seed that planted that you got to water. It actually, it got to go down and get roots first. You got to go down in the dirt first. You don't just pop up.
That's right.
If you want a good foundation, go down in the dirt first.
And then you got to water it,
clip it, make sure it grows straight, and then that thing pop up and it grows. So, and that's what we try to teach guys, and that's what mentoring is all about. I can teach you baseball. That's what I'm gonna do anyway. Naturally, that's why I stay in the game of baseball. I'm going to spring training with the Twins. I'm going to spring training with the Angels, and I stay in there because the wisdom that God has given me along the way, that healed pain. I went through a lot of pain playing baseball, but I'm healed from it.
Yeah, amen.
So I try to give them a lot of that wisdom back on the field and off the field. Off the field is just as important as on the field, because something going on off the field, you're going to destroy yourself on the field.
So a lot of folks say, man, Torii, man, must be lucky though. I don't play baseball. I'm not a professional athlete. So 2024 is a year of high inflation. Hopefully the interest rate starts dropping.
It will.
Of course, right?
Butowski.
Yeah, of course. Butowski, yep. And a lot of these things. So how would you advise, as we wrap up the show, any bits of wisdom, financial literacy-wise, entrepreneur-wise, you give to somebody out there right now, how to get it, even if you were never a professional baseball player? What type of wisdom, for example, would you give your grandkids, your children too, as well, your family members?
Man, with my sons, I was teaching them about financial literacy, the mathematical part, and I tell them, I read a book called Richest Man in Babylon.
Great book.
Great book. Arcade was awesome, right? Yeah. And so I heard him say, if you put away 10% of any dollar that you get, any piece of money that you get, just put away 10% and invest it or put it away. By the time you're 40, you're a millionaire. No matter how much money you make, if you put away 10%, and I'm telling you, at 13 years old, at 15 years old, at 18 years old, if you can just put away 10% of your money for a long period of time, especially at this time, you got to be careful spending in a rough time. We don't know what the economy is like. It's fluctuating. It's up and down. The Fed funds, the Fed rates are actually it's steady and going down. And I think before the election, the rates will be down. It won't be where we used to be, but you'll see a trending downward. But I think we're in a lot of debt right now. I think there's going to be blood on the street in April and May, right? And that's going to be a time to buy. But you're not buying to take something from someone. You make sure you get out there and buy to help someone and be a Band-Aid to stop them from bleeding. And that's what I think that we need to do in America is go around and figure out who's drowning, who's bleeding, and become a Band-Aid, because there's going to be buyers and they're going to be sellers for sure in April or May, whether it's homes, businesses, or whatever, and people are going to be crying in the street, bleeding in the street.
Yeah, because you're saving somebody from a foreclosure.
Yeah.
You're saving somebody from a repossession. Yeah. Especially under credit, where that will smear for a minute before they can get the financial legs back underneath them.
Right.
And so, where can people find ways to do business with you? Where can people visit your restaurants? Tell everybody.
Man, well, I'm always on at Tnuts48, Torii Hunter on Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. I got a lot of imposters on Facebook. Be careful.
You're crazy, right? Of course.
But I'm on LinkedIn, just at Torii Hunter. And, Tender Smokehouse, you can get online. If you got skincare, hair care, and you want to deal with that ashiness and get your hair laid, go to Urban Hydration. You can go to urbanhydration.com and read more about my skincare, hair care products. We have Maker's Gym, the creative space.
Yes, I'm there too as well.
Yeah, Tender Smokehouse. Tender Smokehouse is awesome here in North Dallas. If you're ever in North Dallas, come check us out. Great barbecue.
What's your locations of Tender?
Our locations are in Salina, Frisco, Texas, Arbery, Texas, coming soon in Little Elm, and coming soon in Whitesboro.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to salmon. I love me some barbecue, man.
Man, I love some barbecue as well, I'll be honest with you. But I got to be careful. They say don't get high off your own supply.
But by the way, it's pretty gutsy to be in Texas to open up a barbecue restaurant. I mean, you can't be bad.
Oh, yeah. You know what? We really pride ourselves on kingdom service.
I love it.
Right? Not custom service, but kingdom service. And we try to have service that's up just the most at the highest. And people come in, they be like, man, you get barbecue anywhere in Texas.
Right.
But are they treating you like you're a king?
That's right.
That's what we try to do, and treat people like kings, and they come back and they're repeat offenders, and we like that.
Yeah, it's kind of like going to Mexico and then getting taco. You suck. But something's got to be up above and beyond that. But Torii, I can have another hour with you, man. I'm just blessed and grateful that I got to bump into you. I didn't realize I was doing business with you by being a member at Maker's Gym. See you there.
Thank you for your service.
Oh, appreciate
your support.
Yeah, of course, absolutely, man. And by the way, that's my job as an entrepreneur, is to go out and support other entrepreneurs. Our money should be circulating around other business owners, right?
And that's what we try to do, man.
Yeah.
If you they say what is that Spider-Man quote? To whom much is given. That's actually scripture, but to whom much is given, much is required. So you're out here doing great things. You're making good money. How can you give it back without destroying yourself? Of course. How can you give it back and give somebody else a leg up? And that's what we try to do, and that's what all athletes should do. That's what all entertainers should do. And I think you're gonna make the world a greater place. And I never seen a fruit. I always say this before I get off. I never seen a fruit or a tree eat its own fruit. Make sure you're not the tree eating your own fruit. Make sure you let people pick from you and pick from your tree. You have the gift, and that's your fruit. And let people pick from it. And that's what I try to remember. Every time I'm out there starting a business or investing in a business, I want to be a solution to a problem.
Yeah. Because not only can eat, but also you give them the seed to be able for them to plant themselves.
That's right.
Wow,
that's
powerful, man. We can go out, man, get all philosophical about this stuff, but that's the stuff that moves me too as well. I wonder what your philosophy is here in 2024. Are you getting financially ahead? Make sure you follow Torii Hunter here too as well. If you're looking for some barbecue, you might find me out there too as well at his spot. But for example, I'll be also at Maker's Gym creating content out there too as well, because in addition to the podcast, I'm be doing some things there at the different studios that you provide at your location. So that being said, guys, please, if you've watched this up until the end of this interview, put Torii with two eyes. Torii with two eyes in the comment section below. Let us know you watched it to the end of the podcast. And who knows, you might get a special gift from me, from yours truly here at the 7 Figure Squad podcast. If you've also watched it to this end, make sure you hit like, subscribe, and capture the next episode when we come here, episode 57 coming to you soon. Next week, we'll be in San Antonio, Texas. We're going to have Les Brown. We're going to have Patrick David. We're going to have sales trainer Jeremy Lee Minor. And we're going to have Waka Flocka show him here to our event too as well. So we'll be in San Antonio broadcasting from there too as well. So very excited about that. Please put your biggest takeaway in the comment section below. That being said, everybody, thanks for tuning in. On behalf of Torii Hunter, I'm your money smart guy. And until we meet again, continue to live smart, continue to love smart, and be money smart today. God bless you. Bye-bye.